move into, you want to talk? We both watched Shutter Island at roughly the same time.
Yeah,
I
you
watched
texted
it.
me and
I
I watched it the
texted
same day,
you
I think.
and I said, first off, major spoilers this entire episode. Same with the
Correct.
WWE talk. So sorry. But this movie's from 2010, so if you haven't seen it yet, it's your fault because me and Noah took all this time and we went without spoilers. So it is what it is.
Yeah, 15 years is a fair amount of time for the statute of limitations.
Yeah, on spoilers. So do you go ahead and kick it off? What do you want to say about the movie?
So the only thing I ever saw about this movie was the clip of the old lady um gardening, yeah. Had like 6 pieces of hair and probably weighed like 30 pounds. She was all skin and bones. Other than that, I knew absolutely nothing about the movie. Um, I didn't even know that Leonardo DiCaprio was in it, and he's probably one of my favorite actors. I will preface, like, I'm not nearly into all. I haven't seen nearly as many movies as Steve, but I still enjoy a good movie.
Yeah.
How can you not? But yeah, coming into it, I had basically no background knowledge on this movie besides that slight clip of that lady.
Okay.
Did you know anything about it
Wow.
prior?
I like knew like I like it's the same thing that you saw. It was always that clip of the woman shushing. I've never seen anything else really around it. To be honest with you, so I felt really closed off, and I started a letterbox, and I've been like watching all these movies and like reviewing them, like not in depth, just like if anybody knows like how me and Noah talk, like we kind of talk off vibes. We're not like sitting here like breaking down like the cinematography for the movie.
Correct, because
So
neither one
like
of us know anything about that.
so it's just more like just like vibe based. But so yeah, I'm right with you. I didn't know shit about this movie at all.
All right. Well, do you have your letterbox like review up
Yeah,
about
do you want
what
me to
you?
rate it?
Yeah, go ahead,
I gave
and then
it
I'll
a
bounce off of
four
that as you
stars, 4.5 stars, and I
out of
like the
5.
movie out of 5. 9.4 out of 10. Which would be worse, to live as a monster or die as a good man? What a great way to end this movie. I might have to rewatch this to actually enjoy it, or maybe that's the beauty of this movie on the first watch. For you to almost have a headache the entire film to try to figure out what the hell is happening. I almost didn't want to I almost didn't sorry, I don't know how to spell, so I almost didn't want it to be true the way the movie lets you connect to Teddy on the first watch, then slowly lays out his trauma the entire way to make you feel like he's acting out of character or he's in a fight or flight and the island was like kicking his ass or something along those lines. And a more extensive operate I what the I wrote this at like 2 a.m. It makes no sense. Lastly, I love the feel of this movie, the vibe, the directing, the cinematography. I know I just said that. The sound design. I thought the sound was crazy in that movie. I have surround sound speakers in my living room. And like I said, everything about this movie, I love the feel of it. I'm gonna watch this again, taking it all in and enjoying it. Again, this is one of those classics that I've been putting off, but I'm finally happy that I did watch it. What I think I was trying to say in this middle part, because I watch movies late at night, like
Yeah.
from like 11 to like 2 a.m. Um, I think what I was trying to say is this movie, how I interpret it is you get to connect with Teddy where they're trying to pretty much they put him in this limelight as like a savior or a hero trying to like figure out what's going on this island at this insane asylum.
Yep.
And I like connect with him.
Former war veteran.
Yeah, former war veteran has been through all this shit, but he's like still trucking along and as the film goes on and he starts acting more and more out of character, the way that you like kind of see him in your eyes at first, where he like chokes that dude in the hallway when he's like getting chased or
Yep.
whatever, and he's just like acting up, acting crazy, gets that migraine and has to like rip those pills, finds that woman in the hole in the cave, and it's just like all this crazy shit's happening, and then obviously we'll get into it more of like the more of the trauma that gets laid out towards the end, but I almost didn't want to believe that that side of him was true and
Yeah.
that there was like a covert operation happening on the island to make
Mhm.
him think that he was crazy and that they were lying to him to keep him on the island and test his brain.
Correct. Yeah, it
That's what I was trying to say in that middle, but I think I wrote
yeah.
this at 2 a.m.
Hey, that is alright. But, yeah, it was, I think the best movies are the ones where you are just, like you feel like you're almost watching it through the main character's eyes,
Okay.
and I felt that way watching this movie, like, I was fully locked in, I was fully invested, and, like, when the movie's over, it almost makes you feel like, "Holy shit," like, I have to take a step back because that wasn't actually real, but
Yeah.
it was so, like, well put together that it made me feel like I was in that movie, and I think that's what makes the best movies. Um, you really felt like you were
Shit.
fighting against the
Like
doctors
shit.
on yeah, like, on the
My head
island, like
hurt.
yeah, you
My head
really
hurt
felt like
watching
you
that
were
movie.
fighting against them, and
Yeah.
part of me was like, "Holy shit, they're keeping him here, and he's not even sick." And then
Yes.
as you start to watch and watch and watch, I said out loud, I was like, "Okay, there's gotta be something going on with these pills that he keeps taking." Um, I didn't know what. I thought that the initial plan was those doctors were trying to keep him there, hostage.
That's what I thought.
Not that there was actually anything wrong with him, but they were
Yeah.
trying to keep him there, um, and I thought that those pills had something to do with that. Fast forward, those pills were trying to they were like I forget exactly what medication or whatever it was. I think it was I think they like caused hallucinations, which is what led to him seeing that woman in the cave.
Well, I I thought this is what I thought real quick, and then you can keep going. I thought that those were fake to keep the
Okay.
role playing to
Maybe I
keep
missed
I don't
that.
think he was supposed to have cigarettes or pills because when he was in the cave, I think that that was aberration in his mind, and the woman
Yeah.
was like, "You're not taking the pills and cigarettes that they're giving you, right?" And I think that it was to keep the role playing going to think that he was trying to solve this mystery on the island. That's why whenever he had a cigarette, it was given to him from his partner.
Yeah.
He was never
I
had his own cigarettes. That's how I took
They
it.
took
I
him
had
from
no
him
fucking
when
clue.
they got there, I believe.
Yes,
They
yes, they
took
took the
his.
cigarettes from him.
So that was the one thing that always can like looking back at the beginning after watching this whole movie, it was like he was never like actually on like that whole boat thing was like almost a flashback kind of because he was on the island all along.
I think what triggered no, I don't think so. I don't know about that part, but what stuck out to me in that scene is when he starts kind of tripping a little bit, but he's smoking a cigarette to calm himself down. I think that there was always like a common denominator when you're watching this movie where it's like when it pours, when there's water involved, when his we'll get into that when his family, the way that his kids passed away in by getting drowned by
Spoiler alert, just tell
yeah,
him.
spoiler alert.
Yeah, just say it.
Yeah, by his wife. I think that was like a common theme, like that would like trigger his traumas was like this water.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
or am I
anytime
lost?
it rained.
Or am I lost on
No, I
this?
think you're right. I think you might be right because anytime it rained, it felt like he was getting those crazy migraines.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
And then
Or
they
the
would have to take
storms.
those then you would have to
And
take those pills, yeah.
when he was on the boat in the water, and it was just like I think water was a trigger for his trauma.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that is correct as well. Um, but
Really,
I
what confused me is when, and I don't know what happened. And I guess it was just his eyes telling him lies. I thought when the cigarette, I don't know what happened and what didn't happen. When the cigarette
that is
was
correct.
sitting on the edge of the cliff and the guy's body was laying
Yeah.
down on the ground and he climbed down and the piece of paper whizzed by and he grabbed it. I, I still am confused about that.
Was that that was the piece of paper though that had what, 46 on it?
Yeah, like the person, the inmate or whatever that they were lying about that didn't exist, and they were trying to prove that it did exist.
And it was him.
I think, right?
Yes,
It
it
was
was.
him. Yes,
Yes,
okay.
it was. It was
Okay.
him. He like they basically let him live out an entire scenario again. Like he went from like he created this he like I don't know if it was split personality, schizophrenia, what exactly the official diagnosis was, but the doctors on the island let him, as in Teddy, Leonardo DiCaprio, create an entire false personality for himself, but like kind of based it off the real version of him because like he was still a war veteran in this new personality because he couldn't
Was
like
he?
get rid of the flashbacks. I thought
I don't think that anything in this character's life, that the Teddy Daniels life, was real. It was a long,
correct. I yes,
elaborate.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought. See, this is what I was confused about too. That's what I was. This was more of a question than a statement. So nothing based on this Teddy Daniels character was a extension of his real life.
I think the only thing was the war veteran part of it because I thought
Okay,
he couldn't escape those flashbacks because um, they kept popping up, even unless that was just like them trying to provide us with background information as to what his previous life
it's
was.
still confusing.
Correct. It
It's
is.
still super confusing. I think that I so what happened essentially, we're talking in circles a little bit, but to bring it in more of like the context of the movie, they created to treat his trauma. So what happened was his wife drowned their children.
Yes.
He came home, saw her, that he drowned the children, and he had a gun on
She
him.
was sitting on the back, like the back porch swing.
So maybe some of this of his actual real life is an extension of this character because he had a gun on him at that point. So he came home, saw that the kids were drowning, went into the water. They were obviously dead. They were hugging. She was crying. He was crying. He ultimately shot her and killed her.
Yes.
He had a hard time coming to terms with the reality of the situation that has gone on in his life. And
Yep.
he chose to retreat to delusion of a character because he knew that his real life he could never come to grips with what actually how it played out.
Yes. He
And
was trying to create a false personality
then
to try and cover that up.
to combat that, the doctors staged a massive role play for
They
whatever,
let him live it out.
which is
Yeah, they let him live
crazy.
out the
Like
but it wasn't even
that
the
does
first
not
time that
get
they've
talked
done
about
that.
enough.
No.
Okay. Oh, it wasn't.
They no, no, I'm saying it doesn't. I'm agreeing with you. My no was like that doesn't get talked about enough.
Oh, okay, okay. Go ahead.
They let him live it out in hopes of a final of in the hopes of him going to the lighthouse, them catching him there, them being able to lay out that everything that he was doing in this role play was non-existent. They had the gun, there was no bullets in it. The names that he created for himself were just different versions of his other name, I think it was.
Anagrams.
Yes.
So
Um,
different letters, but matched. It was his name backward. I don't know. I still don't really know, to be honest.
Something along those lines, but
Yeah.
they laid it all out when he finally got to the lighthouse at the end of the movie, and his partner turns into being the doctor. There's another doctor there, and they're both like, "We let you play this out, and you in hopes of being able to prove to you that this was not your real life."
Yes. Yes. 100%. I think. Yes.
And then
Something in its face.
they take him back. I don't know where they take him, but he wakes up and he admits that he was in denial. His wife killed his family. He killed his wife, and everything that actually happened in his life was real, and that everything that happened on that island he created to cover up to deny the fact that he went through such a traumatic event with his wife and family.
Yeah.
And then the doctors were like, "Okay, you're saying this now.
You're cured. We
This is
cured you.
good. Yes, this is good." Fast forward, him and his partner,
Yeah.
doctor,
Mark
sitting on the
Ruffalo.
steps. Yeah, Mark Ruffalo, the Incredible Hulk,
Yeah.
um, are sitting on the steps, and the theory is that he knew that he was relapsing into that denial, basically, and did it because he never would be able to come to grips with the fact of what actually happened in his life.
Which
So he
is the line that I used at the
Yes,
beginning of my review is,
full
which is
circle now.
worse, to live as a monster or die as a good man? So he wanted to get lobotomized
Yes,
as a good man in his own head
yes.
than forever living with the fact of the idea that he murdered his wife, which, if
Kinda
you ask
deserved it.
me,
She deserved
she
it.
deserved it. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have felt as bad. Listen,
No.
losing the kids, I'm all that would have been terrible.
When
I
he
wouldn't know how
dragged
to
them
really
out of the
handle it.
river or out of that lake,
It was rough.
that was brutal.
It was rough. But killing the wife, me personally, actually,
She
I'm
was
not gonna say
insane.
that. I'm not gonna say that. I was gonna say something, but I'm deciding not to say it.
Yeah,
But
I know.
everybody knows what I'm thinking.
But
And
if you
I
were to say it
Yeah, if I were to hypothetically say it, I would have
yes.
done it too
Yeah,
and not sweat about it. But
correct.
really, really, I loved this movie. I I want to rewatch it because even sitting here talking about it now, I'm still a little confused about some things. Like no matter what,
And
I
it
think that's a movie that you would have to watch like 5 times to fully understand it.
100%, and I think you'd be able to begin to piece it together better and begin to, like, see if there was any actual foreshadowing that was going on, because unless it's blatantly obvious, and I think it's gotten blatantly obvious more so as movies have gone on, the foreshadowing piece of it, and maybe that's on purpose, but
Yeah.
I feel like foreshadowing was less of a thing in
Hot
older
take.
movies.
Hot take.
Okay?
The doctors were lying, and he was there to solve a crime. And I think that
Could be.
what I think after watching that movie is they completely brainwashed him. He went crazy because of his past that he has, but I think he
Yeah.
was scot free of his past. And at a point, they went to his partner and was like the part where they like kind of like get pushed apart, where he attacks the one inmate. Then something else happens and he stays out the entire night and he sleeps in that cave. I think at that point, they take the inmate and they go, listen, do you want to get out of here or not? Or his partner was like, do you want to
Yeah.
get out of here or not? Like,
Yeah.
I do want to get out of here. Let us know about this guy, but we're keeping him here because we want to lobotomize him. I don't know why.
Yeah.
We want his brain. And I think that
Pause.
pause. I think that his partner then was like, I want to get off this island, but I have literally no other choice. I don't know. That's
I
what
think
I
so. I
think.
think that's a good angle to go with too, because back then, like, I don't necessarily know what time, like what year this took place, but like if you were insane, like a lobotomy was uh,
What is that?
obviously don't. I'm not
Googling.
a I'm not
I'm Googling.
by. It's literally when they just stick a screw in your brain and swish your brain up like a smoothie in hopes of like
Does it kill
rewiring it
you?
so you're not crazy.
Does it kill you?
I mean, I think so.
It could.
Yeah, I feel like
Hypothetically.
anytime you take a screw and you put it into someone's
It
brain,
says
it's probably
it says historically used to treat severe mental illness involved with
yeah.
surgically disconnecting the frontal lobe from the rest of your brain. This is aimed to reduce emotional response. Dude, I have no idea, but all I have to say, it doesn't sound lobotomy were not without risk. It could cause coma, death, infections, and a wide range of cognitive and behavioral changes. I mean, I'm no expert, but this doesn't say I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is why they don't do this anymore.
Oh yeah, you're not allowed to
Like,
do that. Yeah,
yeah,
and I think the reason that they there is a valid reason for like wanting to keep a guy like that there because of the
his past
significant
trauma.
trauma that he had to go through. And if you're experimenting with lobotomy and you don't know what to do, if it's good, if it's bad, what the outcomes are, like you come across somebody that has significant trauma like that, it feels like it's pretty easy to like convince them that they're crazy. And
You could say that.
at that point, you can lobotomize them, stick a screwdriver in their brain, in the front of their brain, twirl it around, and see if they go back to normal.
I'm That's crazy, and I can't believe that that was a thing.
Yeah,
That is the angle. I don't think it's true, but that's the angle that I personally want to believe.
but that's a cool one to think about.
And I just feel like at that point he was just like, screw it. Like, we're not getting off this island. Like, would you rather sit here and constantly like drive yourself crazy or die as a good man? That's the way I took it. And I know that that's not like the textbook way of like but like first watch of the movie, I took it as like, we're not beating these guys. So
No,
I'm gonna go get lobotomized because we're stuck on this island forever and you haven't realized that yet. And that's
yeah,
what I think he said to his partner. And I think his partner was brainwashed as well by the doctors to try to get him to flip him. But I have no clue. That could be completely wrong. But that's just how I interpreted the movie at the end.
no. I think that's a good, interesting perspective on that movie.
It was good. I like Leo a lot in a lot of his
Yeah,
movies that he does. I mean, I love Catch Me If You Can, obviously
same.
Wolf of Wall Street, like stuff like that. So seeing him in his I want to watch more of his like earlier stuff when he was like kind of like coming to age, I guess is the way to describe it. And this movie I felt like was one of those. I mean, 2010s. I mean, what year did he do the Titanic? He was in the Titanic, right?
Yeah,
That was in the 90s,
uh,
right? So, I mean, I might have to go back even
probably.
further. I've never seen the Titanic either. So,
Me neither.
I feel like watching some of the older stuff like of those guys who I clearly like why not go and do it? So,
Dude, what do you need to watch? It runs into a chunk of ice and everyone sinks.
I will say if you haven't seen it yet, and I think I texted it to you, but I'm not 100% sure. I watched Heat the other night.
Yes, you did. Yes.
1995, all the big dogs are in it.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely sick movie. So you should watch that if you ever have the time.
Okay. Yeah, I will watch this one. Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Val Kilmer, Diane Venora, Ashley Judd. Yeah, that's a pretty good
It's sick.
list.
It's sick.
I've heard of
Yeah.
it. I've never seen it though.
Do you want to tie anything else into Shutter Island here, or are you good to go?
No, I think that was good. Movie was great. I will be watching it again to try and figure out any other little tidbits that I might have missed in the first running.
My head needs a break from that movie, but I will be
Yeah.
watching it again.
White cloud.